How will the end times church relate to its larger community, both in terms of the other Essers around you and in terms of the world around you? Now, to recap slightly, those primarily extroverts that really love the experience of big, respectable church will find themselves very, very challenged to adjust to a new definition and expression of Esser-based church and possibly even underground church. Those who were dependent on that virtue signaling to give an impression of a testimony will have to examine their own testimony, whether or not their Christianity was more than the virtue signaling they were participating in. Now, these Essers will be islands of Christian community amidst an increasingly spiritually hostile world. And so when I say community, I'm talking about how you connect those, especially if it's dangerous, especially if it is illegal. First of all, we know that when the mark of the beast comes, it will interfere with our ability to do commerce, to buy and sell things, which currently, in the midst of the present quarantine, mild quarantine, it can be much more dramatic. One of the things we're allowed to do is buy and sell. You know, I can buy and sell things via the internet. I bought some clothing. I bought a musical instrument. But, you know, we're told we can leave the house for crucial, necessary things. That's who gets to go work, is those who are vital or necessary, or whatever the term is. But, you know, I can go and I can get a pair of socks. I can go and I can get some soup or some butter. So, but those things will be constrained at this point. And much of the conversation I am stating that will occur in Esther's, other than the Word of God and prayer and worship, will be people communicating about the difficulty of getting food. Because if it's not legal to buy and sell without the mark of the beast, and what you have is 8 or 10 or 12 faithful believers that don't have the mark of the beast, eventually the conversation will come to, I need to eat. Or, you know, I have these family members that need to eat. And, you know, every single time the commercial for the beast technology comes up, I think, gosh, if I did that, I could feed my family. It just occurred to me right now on the subject of families, if you at the present time are perceived to not be taking care of the physical needs of your family, especially if they're minors, they can be taken away from you by Child Protective Services. So imagine a world where you've refused to take the mark of the beast, you haven't bought groceries in 6 months, and you come up on the radar of CPS. That's assuming there is a CPS. We could have experienced so much civil breakdown by that point it won't exist, but you could find yourself in compliance to God and discompliance with your local government. Now, so therefore, churches will be concerned with how do we get food? How do we distribute food? And a lot of the ways that the church currently really wants open, friendly, respectable personalities, and values those gifts, the needs of the church will change. The person who can get food from any point where food is actually being allowed to be distributed to those Essers will be a smuggler. Technically, in the legal sense, that person will be a smuggler. Just as people used to smuggle Bibles into East Germany and Russia when there was an Iron Curtain. And so there's a kind of relationship that will have to be constructed between Essers and those that are concerned about churches eating. And then, that information, if we have laws at that time that criminalize the free practice of Christianity in the ways that Communist China does currently, and if we have law enforcement that believe in those laws and enforce those laws, you would be dealing with something along the lines of a spiritual equivalent to the moonshine runners of prohibition. That is, instead of some illegal substance, it's, it's wheat and it's oil for making bread, or it's, basic human staples, because right now we think of us in the Western world as, needing to generously distribute food to the church in the third world or the developing world. That need may come in our lifetime, that clusters of believers that can't meet in large groups have to meet to make sure that people in their Esser eat, or in a cluster or network of Essers eat. The question of whether to starve because of refusing the beast will come up. The question of whether or not you should take the mark so that you or your family can eat will come up. I want you thinking about these things. I want you prepared. You can't be prepared in terms of stockpiles. Maybe you are. Maybe you're a prepper, but there is a level of spiritual preparation. I don't want these questions to hit you blindsided. I don't want them to take you by surprise. These are real things that are going to emerge as challenges for the church of the end times. If I have blessed you, encouraged you, or equipped you in any fashion, please like and subscribe.